49 minutes after the hour, it's time for Headline Sports.
Mark McKay, Headline Sports. Thursday was a big night for Bill Fitch. Not only did its Houston Rockets win on the road, but Fitch also became the 5th coach in NBA history to post 700 regular season victories. Akeem Olajuwon canned 24 of his game-high 37 points in the first half as the Rockets blasted New Jersey 121-99. The Nets have now lost 9 in a row. It was an exciting night at the Mecca. Milwaukee stopped Seattle 106-104 with the game going down to the wire. John Lucas puts up the shot. It's blocked. But Jack Sikma is there with the follow-up, handing his former teammates their 4th straight loss. Boston beat up Golden State on the road Thursday, 134-112. The Celtics were led by Danny Ainge, who canned 24 points. Elsewhere, Detroit down Cleveland 113-109. Bullets beat the Nuggets 121-115. And the Kings got by the Mavericks 129-125. On the college courts, a big game in the Big Ten. 5th-ranked Purdue held on to its conference lead on the Hawkeyes Thursday by beating Iowa on its home court 80-73. Everett Stevens was perfect from three-point range, finishing up with 23 points. Keeping it in the conference, 9th-ranked Illinois defeated Minnesota 79-67. Ken Norman continues to get the job done for the Illini, scoring 26 points to lead the way. Elsewhere, top-ranked Nevada Las Vegas was 10 better than Fullerton State. Texas Christian beat up Southern Methodist, and Oregon State downed Oregon. 5th seed John McEnroe has been booted from the U.S. Indoor Tennis Championships. Thursday, McEnroe was ousted by 11th seed Johan Kriek 7-5, 6-4. Meanwhile, Jimmy Connors moves on to quarterfinal play with a 3-set win over Elliot Kelcher. Mark McKay, Headline Sports.
I'm Lynn Russell, and here's what's hot. The 10th annual Empire State Building Run-Up. The race was held today, first with the women, then with the men. In all, 90 participants ran up the 1,575 steps. The men's champion, Al Wakwi, won in under 12 minutes.
I do a lot of mountain running, elevation gain from 7 to 10,000 feet. A lot of snow training. This year I didn't train hardly any stadium steps or anything like that.
The women's winner, Janet Wendell, took just over 15 minutes.
It's mental. It's definitely a mental race. You just got to not really look at the numbers on the stairwell. You just have to keep looking ahead.
Lynn Russell, Headline News.
In the headlines, lawmakers want an investigation into reports that former CIA Director Casey may have lied about the arms sales to Iran. The White House has no comment on the reports. President Reagan is calling for a national insurance plan to help the elderly pay for catastrophic illness. And 3 Wall Street executives were charged with using illegal inside information to make millions of dollars in stock deals. With the headlines, I'm Brad Johnson.
Stay tuned. The news continues.
Some video stores claim they've got specials.
Any movie you want. And don't forget your free snack.
But the Spotlight Plus pack from National Video really delivers the goods, like our VIP movie card, a subscription to Spotlight on Video featuring the newest movies and more, and a coupon book that can save you a bundle, plus a free rental. The Spotlight Plus pack. Now that's something. The Spotlight Plus pack from National Video. Only $9.95.
Now, brilliant nail colors for today's new fashion. Lead press-on nails in 18 deep, rich, dimensional colors. Cotton candy.
Sample.
Opal mist.
Mysterious.
Lead press-on nails. 18 great nail colors you just press on with undreamed of ease. Desert mold.
Lovely.
Fiesta.
Lively.
Sugar plum.
Lucky.
40 Lee adhesive tabs and 20 Lee press-on nails for a perfect fit. Lead press-on nails. 18 sensational fashion colors. Press on.
Metropolitan Census steep drop in auto sales forced overall retail sales to plunge nearly 6% last month. That is the biggest on record, but economists say the statistic is misleading. Liz Trotta reports.
Retail sales plunged 5.8% in January. It was the largest drop ever, and mostly the result of a record drop in auto sales last month.
We are suffering from a hangover from the rush to buy cars in December that left the numbers very poor for January. It's already ending. Late January sales were getting a little better, and I think they'll be better still in early February when they're reported shortly.
Excluding auto sales, retail figures were down 0.1% in January. Some economists feel the powerful consumer of 1986 may have curbed his spending habits.
The gains in purchasing power are very modest right now. Hourly earnings are just not going anywhere. The wage rates, as we all know, are just growing at a roughly 2% annual rate. That's not very much. It's nothing in real terms.
However, economists point out that December's cash register receipts were exceptionally strong, especially for autos. And if averaged with the January figures, the picture doesn't look quite so bleak. The economy's vital signs, such as employment and retail sales, they say, are improving. Liz Trotta, CNN, New York.
Tomorrow's weather outlook: rain from the northern and central Pacific coast to the Rockies, showers for parts of Texas, and flurries from upstate New York across northern New England.
I'm Mike Reagan, and that's how you play lingo.
That's Mike, the president's son, Reagan, following in his father's show business footsteps. He says campaigning for his dad and making speeches helped him prepare to be a TV game show host. The syndicated lingo will premiere this fall. Wheel of Fortune's rolling up the East Coast. The stars of TV's most popular game show are on the road, and they're in demand. John Zarella catches them in Florida.
Hundreds of people packed rows deep came to get a glimpse of their favorite game show stars, Vanna White and Pat Sajak.
Good to see you.
The Wheel of Fortune stars left Miami Thursday morning on a two-day whistle-stop train ride that will wind its way through the South and Middle Atlantic states, ending up in Washington, D.C.
This is a chance to meet some people and have people meet us who don't ordinarily get a chance to do it. We're going to a lot of small places that don't usually have, TV celebs coming through.
Pat and Vanna say they're excited by this novel approach to winning new fans, but how will they feel after 2 long days on a train?
Probably exhausted after 33 cities.
What's likely to exhaust Vanna even more than the ride itself is all the reporters' questions about her upcoming Playboy magazine appearance.
I did not pose for those shots in Playboy, and I did those shots many years ago, way before Wheel of Fortune, when I couldn't eat and pay the rent, and a photographer sold them to Playboy, and they're being published.
As they say, in every life, a little rain must fall. But there is no rain falling on Wheel of Fortune. The stars say they never imagined how successful they'd become.
It caught us all by surprise. We had hopes of being successful, but we did not expect to become, part of the cultural landscape.
And that they certainly have become.
I wouldn't miss Wheel of Fortune for nothing. If I'm worried, I have something on my mind, very depressed, when that show come on, I watch Wheel of Fortune, and that is gone, whatever was bothering me.
Presidential candidates have been known to use whistle stops to increase their popularity, so why not game shows? Ratings are at least as important on television as they are in politics. John Zarella, CNN, in Hollywood, Florida.
That's our report. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Goodnow. Around the world in 30 minutes, this is Headline News.
Before we got the headline habit,
we got tired of waiting up for the late news.
Where's the party, dude? Good evening. This is the late news in Washington today.
But now with headline news.
We can watch the late news as early as we like.
Around the world every 30 minutes, this is Headline News.
Headline News. News whenever you want it.
Get the headline habit.
From Turner Broadcasting System, this is the Headline News Network.
Most successful investors do their own investing, control their own financial affairs,
and can utilize a discount firm like Schwab & Company very effectively. The great advantage, I think, in dealing with a Schwab employee who is salary-based in compensation is that you will always know that he does not have a conflict of interest riding on your transaction. Even more than the savings on commissions that we provide investors, we give them a haven where they can conduct their business without all of the hassles and the opinions and pressures from salespeople. I have always been an investor myself, and I have tried to think of everything that we do for our customers through the eyes of myself. Would I like it as a customer? Would I not like it as a customer?
Save money on brokerage commissions. Call Charles Schwab now for this free booklet. Toll free 800-257-1333. That's 800-257-1333. Find out what Charles Schwab can do for you.
Headline News, I'm David Goodnow. Congressional panels looking into the Iran-Contra affair were supposed to unravel the truth about the scandal, but instead some lawmakers charged they're being lied to and want investigators to look into the possibility key witnesses may have committed perjury. One of those witnesses reportedly is former CIA Director William Casey. More now from Charles Bierbauer.
Secretary of State Schultz paid a visit to the White House one night last November to warn the president that a big lie was in the making. An angry Schultz told Reagan that then CIA Director William Casey was prepared to tell the Senate Intelligence Committee that a 1985 Israeli shipment to Iran contained oil drilling equipment, not weapons. National Security Advisor John Poindexter had helped prepare Casey's evasive testimony, even though days earlier Poindexter had admitted to reporters that there was an arms shipment. Casey's written testimony to various congressional committees was cleaned up and seemed to impress some.
I think he's being forthcoming with us now.
But others say that under committee questioning, Casey stuck with the oil drilling story. The hint of Casey's intention to mislead is buried in the Senate Intelligence Committee's report released last month. Now unearthed, it has rekindled the question of administration credibility on Capitol Hill.
This administration has had a pattern of trying to mislead the Congress. It failed to follow the law, improper notification on the shipment of arms to Iran. That's how this mess began.
The Democratic congressman says it is not Casey and not Schultz who has to come forward and explain more fully, but the president. President Reagan himself has not offered any public explanation in over 2 months. He is isolated from open questioning, having met only privately with his own Tower Review Board. White House officials say a Reagan news conference is now not likely until the Tower report comes out later this month. The Tower Board is taking an extra week to examine NSC computer disks, which are said to contain new information about the Iran-Contra link. Casey is, of course, recovering from surgery for a cancer of the brain and unable to clarify what went on. Other key players, Poindexter and Marine Colonel Oliver North, are still unwilling. So the electronic records may be the most telling in the investigation. Charles Bierbauer, CNN, the White House.
ABC News reports tonight wealthy citizens donated about $2.2 million to the Contras. That private money, which went to a project codenamed Toys, reportedly was used for military aid. This apparently took place when such governmental assistance was prohibited by the Congress. President Reagan and Chief of Staff Donald Reagan reportedly held briefings for those citizens. Pentagon sources say the Marine Corps has recalled at least 5 of its U.S. Embassy guards in Moscow. The transfers reportedly have taken place in the 2 months since another Marine guard was charged with spying for the Soviets. Officials say the transfers do not involve allegations of espionage, but allegations that certain contact regulations were violated. Security agents in Moscow used snow plows today to drive off a group of protesters at a rally to seek the release of Jewish dissident Yosef Begun. Police arrested and released 14 people, including Begun's wife and son. Peter Arnett reports.
The friends of imprisoned Jewish dissident Joseph Begun are defying Moscow authorities and demanding his release.
Let Yosef Begun, who is the teacher of the Jewish language, Ivrit, go free.
Joseph Begun is jailed in Chistopol prison for anti-Soviet agitation. His crime is teaching the Hebrew language. He was not included in the recent release of 140 political prisoners. Soviet security police ordered Begun's wife Ina and his son Boris to stop the demonstrations. When they appeared again Thursday morning, they were arrested and the demonstration broken up. Demonstration participants said one of their friends was brutally treated.
They kicked her several times, and then they pushed her from taking her by both hands and pushing her and kicking her.
One demonstrator pointed out the dilemma being faced by security officials.
KGB don't know what to do. They have no orders to kill, to beat us, and they have no order to give us a free demonstration.
Many of the protesting Jews have been denied exit visas for a decade or more. They feel that Soviet Jews will not benefit very much from the limited improvement in human rights.
What is happening, it is the evidence that there won't be any change in the policy of letting the Jews to get out of this country.
Joseph Begun's relatives and friends will continue the protest demonstrations. They'll test with their own bodies the real limits of Mikhail Gorbachev's announced plans of openness and humanitarianism. Peter Arnett, CNN, Moscow.
A Texas appeals court has upheld most of a landmark jury award against Texaco, but the court reduced the $11 billion amount by $2 billion. In November of '85, Texaco was found guilty of interfering with a planned merger between Pennzoil and Getty Oil. 3 Wall Street executives are facing charges of insider trading. They allegedly used non-public information to make millions for Kidder Peabody and Company. Those charged are Richard Wigton, a vice president at Kidder Peabody, Timothy Tabor, a former vice president with the investment firm, and Robert Freeman of Goldman Sachs and Company. President Reagan is looking to help fellow senior citizens cope with the costs of catastrophic illness. Today, he unveiled a plan authored by Health and Human Services Secretary Otis Bowen. It would boost the annual Medicare premium by $59 and limit out-of-pocket medical expenses annually to $2,000. Some lawmakers, though, say the program is not enough. President Reagan offered some words of encouragement to a Florida boy dying of liver failure today. The chief executive's phone call came hours before thieves stole thousands of dollars worth of donations for him. Al Sunshine has that.
Ronnie DeSillers is dying of congenital liver failure. The 7-year-old boy has been in Miami Children's Hospital since early January. He needs a liver transplant that will cost his family some $300,000. They can't afford it, and their health insurance won't cover it. They've appealed for help and have raised about $90,000 so far. Wednesday was the happiest day of Ronnie's life. He got a phone call from Vice President Bush, and less than 5 minutes later, a second phone call from President Reagan.
He asked him about what the problem was, and Ronnie told him, I don't have enough money to get my liver transplant and go to Pittsburgh. And he asked him how he was feeling, and he told him very bad. He had just gotten sedation for the bone marrow exploration that they were going to do, so he was in a lot of pain. But he just perked up when he found out it was the president. He was smiling, and his eyes were bright.
But that night, thieves broke into St. Anthony's School in Fort Lauderdale and stole a cash box full of almost $5,000, money his classmates raised for a trip to Disney World. But they thought that helping Ronnie was more important, so they decided to donate the money to him to help get Ronnie a second chance for a normal life.
I felt really bad because we worked really hard for it. And all of a sudden, how could someone do that for Ronnie?
I don't know what kind of a lesson it teaches them, but I'm afraid disillusionment comes very early.
Police believe the thief knew where the money was being held because its location was the only area disturbed in the school. Doctors say their patient is running out of time, and his family says he may be too ill to face surgery if he doesn't get a liver transplant over the next 6 to 8 months. Al Sunshine, CNN, Miami.
We'll be back.
Right now, Time magazine has good news for everyone who's ever wanted to make an important phone call, but couldn't find the number. Because if you order Time now, you'll get a free gift with your paid subscription. Time's exclusive phone file. It's a combination telephone and flip file directory to keep your phone numbers where they belong, with a phone. So instead of having to reach for a number,
oh, here it is.
you just reach for the phone and the number's right there. With Time's gift, you can have all your numbers in one place. And with Time magazine each week, you can have the whole world in one place. Fascinating, exciting, entertaining, and informative. Time reaches to the heart of events and brings them home to you with a superb writing and photography that makes the experience of time unique. And now it can be yours for almost half off the cover price. And with a thank you gift, that means you'll never have to look high and low for a phone number. Instead, it'll always be at your fingertips. Time even makes it easier for you to call with push-button dialing. It has call muting for privacy and automatic redial. There's a handy pen and pencil holder, an area code directory, even a built-in clock. It's a Time magazine exclusive, and it's yours free when you subscribe for 30 weeks of Time at nearly half off the cover price, payable in 3 easy installments of just $9.79 each. And all you have to do is call our toll-free number.
What's the number?
1-800-525-7300. Got it. And with your paid subscription, you'll get Time's unique phone file free. So call now.
What was that number again? It was...
That's 1-800-525-7300. It's the most practical telephone ever invented. And it's part of Time's best offer ever. So don't miss it. You'll never lose a phone number again.
The second mob hit on a defendant in the Pizza Connection trial is raising fears of a gang war. Today, a judge sequestered the jury and ordered protective custody for the remaining 4 co-defendants following last night's killing. Charles Feldman reports from New York.
There was fear in room 506 of U.S. District Court in Manhattan. Fear that was the result of Wednesday's apparent mob hit of a defendant in the 16-month-long Pizza Connection drug trial. The victim, Pietro Alfano, was gunned down and critically wounded on a busy Manhattan street as his wife looked on. An apparently innocent bystander was also shot and is in fair condition. Just last December, another defendant in this case was found murdered, his body stuffed inside a garbage bag. Attorneys involved in the case were closed-mouthed.
I'm sorry, we're under a gag order from the court, and we really can't answer any of the press questions.
But Wednesday's shooting was clearly felt inside the court, where security was beefed up. 4 defendants voluntarily placed themselves in protective custody, but their wives and family members could be heard expressing concern in the corridors of the courthouse. The defendant shot Wednesday is a relative of the trial's principal defendant, Gaetano Badalamenti. The 4 who placed themselves in protective custody are also related to Badalamenti, who the government has described as a former Sicilian mafia leader. The defendants are accused of participating in a scheme run allegedly by Badalamenti to distribute more than $1.5 billion worth of heroin in the United States using pizza parlors throughout the country as fronts. The Pizza Connection trial is a landmark case. Lawyers say it marks the longest time a federal jury has ever sat in a criminal trial. The judge indicates that he may charge the jury within a week or so, but deliberations could take a long time. There has been much testimony, and the material the jury must go over is voluminous. Charles Feldman, CNN, at U.S. District Court in Manhattan.
Investigators are trying to figure out why a slide chute aboard a United Airlines flight malfunctioned during an emergency landing last night. 11 people were injured evacuating the Boeing 747, which was forced to land at Detroit Metropolitan Airport because of a bomb threat. No bomb was ever found. The flight, carrying 232 passengers, was en route from Chicago to Newark, New Jersey. The FAA is cracking down on those pilots who violate air safety rules. This comes in the wake of 2 major mid-air collisions in a 6-month period. Taylor Henry reports.
Cerritos, California, August 31st, 1986. 82 people died after an Aeromexico jetliner and a single-engine Piper Archer collided in midair. Less than 5 months later, in Kearns, Utah, 10 more died when a SkyWest commuter plane collided with another small plane. Federal aviation investigators say that in each case, the pilot of the smaller plane entered restricted airspace without permission from air traffic controllers. Now, the Federal Aviation Administration has announced a crackdown on pilots who improperly enter the restricted airspace known as Terminal Control Areas, or TCAs.
This is a very serious violation, and we plan to turn up the heat on the violators.
Federal officials say that since the Cerritos disaster, they have taken legal action against more than 36 pilots who violated the TCA at Los Angeles International Airport. Aviation officials say most of the violations are inadvertent, caused by pilot error. So they say the answer is education, not criminal prosecution. Consequently, the FAA is putting on safety seminars for pilots. And federal transportation officials say they're expanding the list of major airports where small planes are required to have altitude reporting transponders. Meanwhile, at the nation's busiest airport, Chicago's O'Hare, FAA officials say they've beefed up the staff of air traffic controllers. The announcement follows a report last week by the National Transportation Safety Board recommending better training programs and operational procedures.
We're constantly seeking ways to improve the efficiency and safety of our traffic services.
But despite all the concern about air safety, aviation officials say 1986 was one of the safest years on record, and they hope to make the skies even safer. Taylor Henry, CNN, Los Angeles.
The police officer who originally investigated allegations of sexual child abuse at the McMartin preschool took the witness stand today in Los Angeles. Detective Jane Hogue testified the first alleged victim was unable to identify a photo of Raymond Buckey. Buckey and his mother are charged in the case. Hogue's testimony is part of defense efforts to prove that prosecutors deliberately withheld vital evidence. Some people call him a miracle worker. Bill Honig is the head of the California school system, and as Greg Lefebvre reports, he is turning it into one of the nation's best.
Bill Honig is often given credit for single-handedly turning around California's schools. When Honig ran for state school superintendent in 1982, California's spending per student was among the lowest of all 50 states. Morale and test scores were sliding.
But you can go bankrupt in two ways. You can go bankrupt by spending too much. You can go bankrupt because you didn't invest and never stayed competitive.
Honig beat out the incumbent in 1982. He was reelected last fall with 78% of the vote.
We're teaching more math, more science, more history, more literature. But we're not training our teachers in those subjects, not keeping them up to date. No business would think about sending out a sales force with a new product and not train them.
The lanky, bookish, former teacher, former lawyer recruited at least one parent from virtually every school in the state to pressure legislators to spend more money on schools. It worked 4 years ago and is paying off in higher student scores. Honig's biggest problems now are money, where to get more, and sex, what to teach and when. He's going toe-to-toe over budget cuts with Republican Governor George Deukmejian.
This year, education is going to get less than 10 cents on the dollar.
I think if you look up the word demagogue in the dictionary, you'll see that it fits.
Honig's walking an emotional minefield over how early to teach students about sex, about homosexuality, about diseases. Of special concern, grades 6 through 9.
This is the age when they're figuring out who they are going to be. What's the world like? What's right? What's wrong?
What's right for Honig may be a run for higher office. Political insiders believe Bill Honig will be wielding influence in California for some time to come. Greg Lefebvre, CNN, San Francisco.
Headline Sports is next.
Did you ever have one of those days?
Oh, no.
When everything breaks at once.
Time for the book.
Introducing Fix It Yourself, the new series from Time Life Books. It shows you how to fix just about anything that breaks around your house.
Here it is, the flywheel stand. This isn't hard at all. Place the end of a broom handle against an impeller and slowly work back and forth.
A broom handle? What are you doing?
That's what the book says. There. Got it. All fixed.
That's great. So let's fix the dishwasher.
Each book troubleshoots the problem and solution, so there's no more guesswork or wasted time.
Here's your problem. It's the timer.
Oh, where's the timer?
Oh, right here.
Next, follow the step-by-step instructions for your specific model type.
Oh, gee, that's easy. And it won't take long either.
And the directions couldn't be simpler.
Okay, I got the timer.
Keeping a solid grip on the timer's plug, wiggle it away from the timer.
That was easy.
Fix It Yourself covers everything from major appliances to lawn and garden, lighting and electricity, even basic car repair. All with the tips and techniques the pros use. So let Fix It Yourself help you take charge of all your household repair. Call now for your first book, Major Appliances. Then about every other month, you'll receive another book. Keep only the ones you want. Cancel anytime. Fix It Yourself. You'll never know when you'll need it.
Call 1-800-824-2700 to examine major appliances free for 15 days. When you decide to keep it, pay just $12.99 plus shipping and handling. Other volumes will follow one about every other month. Keep only the ones you want. Cancel anytime. So call 1-800-824-2700. That's 1-800-824-2700.
19 minutes after the hour, let's get the latest now from Headline Sports.
I'm Tom West with Headline Sports. Struggling through an injury-riddled season, Houston's Bill Fitch reached a milestone Thursday night, his 700th win. Only 4 other NBA coaches have done that. The Rockets ripped New Jersey 121-99. Akeem Olajuwon scored 37 points. Milwaukee's Jack Sikma came back to haunt his old teammates with Seattle. His follow-up at the buzzer gave the Bucks a 106-104 win over the Supersonics. Boston got 20 or more points from 4 different players. Danny Ainge led the way with 24, and the Celtics stomped Golden State 134-112. Detroit dumped Cleveland to move into a first-place tie with the Hawks. It was Washington whipping Denver. Dallas fell to Sacramento. Central co-leader Atlanta has lost center Tree Rollins for about 3 weeks due to a fractured right foot. In college action, top-ranked Nevada Las Vegas was held to its season low, but still beat Fullerton State 74-64. Armin Gilliam got 22 points. In Iowa, it was 5th-ranked Purdue pulling off a big win, 80-73 over the 4th-ranked Hawkeyes. Everett Stevens scored 23 for the Boilermakers, who are just a game behind Indiana in the Big Ten race. 9th-ranked Illinois has moved ahead of Iowa into 3rd place in the conference. Ken Norman's 26 points led the Fighting Illini to a 79-67 win at Minnesota. It was Texas Christian over Southern Methodist, and Oregon State edged its state rival by a point. In tennis action at the U.S. Indoor Championships in Memphis, 5th-seeded John McEnroe bowed out in the 3rd round Thursday as he was beaten in straight sets by 11th-seeded Johan Kriek. I'm Tom West, Headline Sports.
This is Dennis Michael with the Hollywood Minute. Writer-director John Milius, creator of Conan the Barbarian and Red Dawn, has been invited to write an episode of Miami Vice. Milius has come up with a title that will be of no surprise to his fans, Viking Bikers from Hell. Bruce Springsteen is the subject of a new 400-page book due to hit the stores March 1st. Glory Days, Bruce Springsteen in the 80s will sell for $17 from Pantheon. There's going to be a Police Academy 5, according to Warner Brothers Movie Studio. The movie maker has announced 5 new projects in the near future, including a new Caddyshack to star Rodney Dangerfield, and a new movie for Harrison Ford to be directed by Roman Polanski. It was a day of bad news for the producer, director, cast, and crew of The Mosquito Coast on Wednesday. The film, heavily touted as a contender for the Academy Awards, wasn't given a single nomination for an Oscar. This is Dennis Michael with the Hollywood Minute.
In the headlines, lawmakers want an investigation into reports that former CIA Director Casey may have lied about the arms sales to Iran. The White House has no comment on the reports. President Reagan is calling for a national insurance plan to help the elderly pay for catastrophic illness. And 3 Wall Street executives were charged with using illegal inside information to make millions of dollars in stock deals. With the headlines, I'm Brad Johnston.
More news after this.
Richard Reeves, author and syndicated columnist.
Harry Truman said, "The only thing new in the world is the history you don't know." That's why American Heritage is my favorite magazine. Look here, for instance. Here's an article on how air conditioning changed everything. And here's one about the secret FDR tape, what it was like to be sick 100 years ago, and America's boldest counterfeiter who drew $50 bills by hand. American Heritage is the story of America. Superbly printed and handsomely bound, it reminds us of our past and helps us understand the present. I've written for American Heritage. I subscribe to it. I recommend it. It's a great national resource.
Get a full year of American Heritage. 6 big issues for just $18.
Call now and get this 800-page American Heritage Family Dictionary free.
Call 1-800-533-1400.
In dollars and cents, the nation's total retail sales fell a record 5.8% last month. Liz Trotter reports plunging auto sales are taking much of the blame.
Retail sales plunged 5.8% in January. It was the largest drop ever, and mostly the result of a record drop in auto sales last month.
We are suffering from a hangover from the rush to buy cars in December that left the numbers very poor for January. It's already ending. Late January sales were getting a little better, and I think they'll be better still in early February when they're reported shortly.
Excluding auto sales, retail figures were down 0.1% in January. Some economists feel the powerful consumer of 1986 may have curbed his spending habits.
The gains in his purchasing power are very modest right now. Hourly earnings are just not going anywhere. The wage rates, as we all know, are just going at a roughly 2% annual rate. That's not very much. It's nothing in real terms.
However, economists point out that December's cash register receipts were exceptionally strong, especially for autos. And if averaged with the January figures, the picture doesn't look quite so bleak. The economy's vital signs, such as employment and retail sales, they say, are improving. Liz Trotter, CNN, New York.
In tomorrow's weather, rain is likely from the northern and central Pacific coast into parts of the plateau region. Scattered showers are also on tap for parts of central and southern Texas. Highs in the 70s over much of the desert southwest and Florida, with 40s and 50s over much of the rest of the nation. A subscription to Panty of the Month Club or a bouquet of dead roses. Now, those are just two of the more unusual gifts for your sweetheart this Valentine's Day. Jeannie Most reports.
What comes once a month through the mail to a female?
Well, tell me these aren't nice.
Rita Katz is a member of the Panty of the Month Club. Rita says it's just like the Book of the Month Club, only better.
Books to go through, flowers die, candy weep, but this is there. This lasts. My husband loves it.
Her husband is Mort, an insurance executive. He's the one who signed Rita up for the Panty of the Month Club.
These are new ones.
Oh, they're nice.
And the subscription was a surprise.
I thought just to add a little lemon to the tea. It would be interesting, so I kept her in the dark for about 3 months. We're sending her panties.
3 pairs of panties later, Mort confessed. The Katzes didn't know it at the time, but they were the very first subscribers to a service run out of Lila Williams' Brooklyn, New York apartment.
It's a gift from the heart and not from other places of the anatomy, you know.
Now, if you're not into panties and think roses are a bore, how about Better Dead Than Red roses from an outfit called Drop Dead Flowers?
Well, originally I got flowers from the cemetery.
But nowadays, Bill Verderosa and his partner tend to depend on dead leftovers from flower stores. They dry them and paint them and pack them up, then deliver them with handwritten messages from the sender. Messages like,
I wish you were as dead as these flowers. You two mean to be alive. For all you do, this bud's for you.
People pay $37.50 to send a dozen dead roses, intended either as a jab or in jest. We followed a box sent from a father to his daughter. My birthday dinner was great. Too bad you were busy, he wrote. She took it as a joke. But whether drop-dead flowers are intended to make you laugh or to hurt, the typical recipient tends to laugh till it hurts.
Dad, it's me, your daughter. Drop dead.
Jeannie Most, CNN, New York.
That's our report for this half hour. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Goodnow. Around the world in 30 minutes, this is Headline News.
There is a disease that threatens 10 million undernourished children in the third world. It's called nutritional blindness, and every minute it blinds another needy youngster permanently. But through Helen Keller International, vitamin A supplements stop nutritional blindness. Your $20 gift can save 20 children from a life of darkness. So please give before another child's world disappears forever. A combined federal campaign member.
From Turner Broadcasting System, this is the Headline News Network.
Silver Eagle Records announces the most explosive record package of the year, TNT. The Temptations. And the Four Tops. Hit after hit, it's the original music for the Big Kill generation. Never before available in one great collection. The Temps and Tops together. To order, call the number on your screen. TNT, The Temptations and the Four Tops on 3 LPs or 2 long play cassettes, just $14.95. And now, for the first time on compact disc, just $16.95. Write or call now.
Headline News, I'm David Goodnow. President Reagan has unveiled a plan he says would give Americans that last full measure of security. Mr. Reagan is recommending that Medicare be expanded to cover catastrophic illness. Under the plan, the government would cover hospital and doctor's expenses after the patient pays the first $2,000. But critics say the proposal fails to cover medical expenses that don't require a hospital stay.
I am shocked that the President of the United States would wittingly or unwittingly deceive the American people by telling them that the Bowen plan, which is today tardily approved, will offer, quote, that last full measure of security for the elderly people of this country. That is not true.
And many of America's senior citizens are glad to see a catastrophic insurance plan. Jonathan Towers reports.
Many elderly Americans say they're relieved the government is finally getting serious about trying to solve the problem of catastrophic health care.
Anybody could go completely bankrupt over a catastrophic illness, you know, that they were not expecting.
Leona Burns wasn't expecting to have her left knee removed and an artificial one put in as a result of arthritis.
I never expected in my lifetime to have to go through a thing like this.
With the help of Medicare, she hopes to be able to afford her long-term recovery, but she's concerned about what would happen if she had to stay in the hospital for a long time.
If it was an extended stay that they wouldn't allow, then that would be me, you know, paying that deal.
And you're worried about that?
I worry about that, yeah.
But some, like Manny Pierce, say the plan doesn't go far enough. He's a retired salesman whose wife, Pauline, has had Alzheimer's disease for 5 years.
This new plan is projected will not take care of people who are in nursing homes to stay.
Which is where Pauline Pierce is expected to be for the rest of her life, an expense of about $2,000 a month that would not be covered under the president's plan.
Costs in nursing homes today are constantly increasing, and it's going to become increasingly difficult to continue to pay the bills.
To finance the plan, Medicare monthly premiums would be increased about $5. In general, elderly patients seem to be saying that paying about $5 a month isn't too much for a government guarantee that a catastrophic illness won't wipe out their life savings. Jonathan Towers, CNN, Dallas.
Texaco will apparently have to pay up. The Texas Appeals Court today upheld a 1985 ruling that Texaco wrongfully interfered with a planned merger between Pennzoil and Getty Oil Company. But the court did withhold $2 billion of the landmark $11 billion jury award. Texaco says it will continue, though, to appeal that decision. A new insider trading case on Wall Street. Federal prosecutors have filed charges against 3 executives who allegedly made millions in illegal profits for an investment firm. Tom Cassidy reports.
The government came down hard and fast on the 3 defendants, charging that they'd broken insider trading laws over an 18-month period from 1984 to 1986.
Certain actions were taken at Kidder. Specifically, a hedge of a position is alleged in the complaint employing put options. And that's what the complaint alleges about Unicap.
The government refused to say whether the latest charges were an outgrowth of its continuing Ivan Boesky investigation. But former Assistant U.S. Attorney Ken Schachter thinks there may be a connection.
What might well have happened is that Ivan Boesky might have given
the government the name of an individual working at Kidder whom he had conspired with in his insider trading scheme. The government, under this scenario, would approach that person informally, give him and perhaps his attorney an idea of what they had on him, and try to induce him to cooperate.
The government arrested one defendant at home, the other two at work, each of them considered stars in the arbitrage community. Robert Freeman ran Goldman Sachs' arbitrage unit. Richard Wigden was in charge of Kidder Peabody's, which Timothy Tabor once ran before moving to Chemical Bank and Merrill Lynch, from which he resigned last month. Kidder Peabody is not specifically charged with any wrongdoing, but the government says many millions of dollars in illegal profits ended up there.
The allegation is that millions and millions of dollars were made in illegal profits by Kidder Peabody.
The government refused to say just how many millions of illegal profits were involved, but Kidder Peabody says it has not been subpoenaed by the government to provide any further information. Tom Cassidy, CNN, New York.
Members of Congress say the Iran-Contra scandal may now involve perjury. Lawmakers say there's a possibility key witnesses in the controversy may have lied during testimony before investigative panels. There are also reports that former CIA Director William Casey planned to and did mislead the Congress last November about the agency's role in the arms deal. A top aide to PLO leader Yasser Arafat reportedly talked Muslim kidnappers out of killing 4 professors held in Lebanon. 3 Americans and an Indian colleague were seized January 24th. The Beirut newspaper Al-Anwar said the aide warned the kidnappers that the United States would definitely attack if any of the men were executed. The hostages were to be killed 3 days ago unless Israel freed 400 air prisoners. Meanwhile, Israeli planes tonight struck guerrilla targets in a Palestinian refugee camp in South Lebanon. There was no immediate word on casualties, but the people of these camps not only face the threat of death from gunfire. As Roderick Pratt reports, it also comes in a much more subtle form.
For the Palestinian refugees living in Beirut's Burj al-Barajni camp, there's a new enemy: hunger. The camp is under siege by Shiite Amal militiamen who are refusing to let vitally needed supplies through. For the second day running, UN supply trucks carrying water and food have been prevented from entering the camp. Amal leader Nabi Berri says the siege will be lifted when Palestinian guerrillas withdraw from positions they've taken in southern Lebanon. Only a short distance from the camp, tons of food urgently needed by the refugees sit in warehouses gathering dust. In the blanket city which makes up the Burj al-Barajni camp, residents have been eating cats, dogs and rats. Others have resorted to eating grass collected from the outskirts of the camp in an effort to survive. Refugees from other Palestinian camps in Beirut have been staging demonstrations to draw attention to the plight of their countrymen. But the issue is bigger than just food. Amal are trying to prevent the Palestinians from regaining a power base in Lebanon. Back at the Burj al-Barajni camp in Beirut, there have been reports of more fighting, with snipers taking up positions as UN workers wait.
As you can see that we are on standing by basis, waiting to enter the camps anytime we have the green light, to enter with the commodities of food and medicines to the refugees who are badly in need now.
Officials in Damascus are searching for alternate ways, they say, to get the food into those refugee camps. Coming up, some major changes in the sky. Stay tuned.
Thank you for your order, and be sure to look for your free gift. Would you like to receive a free gift, too? I'll be right back to show you how.
Roger, Mother. Radar locked on target. 00532 miles. Looks like a piece of cake.
Even with millions of dollars worth of computerized guidance systems, heat-seeking missiles, and state-of-the-art avionics,
Fox 1, missile away.
it's still the cool steel nerves of a pilot that wins battles.
He's going down. Trouble. 2 bogeys in my 6. I'm out of here. Looks like I've lost him. Correction, he's on my tail. Just fired.
And you can fly with these pilots in the epic of flight, the time-like book series that follows the history of aviation, beginning with the fighting jets. This is the book that lets you fly over Mig Alley in Korea and sit in the earliest jets with a gun's-eye view of battle. Relive the war of 1,000,000 sorties in Vietnam. Dance across the desert in Mirage 3 during the battle over Sinai. And fly to victory over the Falklands in the amazing Harrier jump jet. Each book traces a different chapter capturing the greatest moments in aviation, highlighting the pilots that made the difference. And it starts with the fighting jets. So call toll-free and begin your adventure in the epic of flight.
Sierra Hotel. Bogey going down. Give me a vector. I'm coming home.
Hi, I'm Carol at Time Life Books. Call now and receive your first book, Fighting Jets, for 10 days free. Keep it, pay $13.95 plus shipping and handling. Other books will follow, one every other month. Keep only the ones you want, cancel at any time. If you call now, you'll also receive this digital watch free with your purchase. Call 1-800-257-1333. That's 1-800-257-1333.
Passengers on a United Airlines jet going from Chicago to Newark, New Jersey got a bit of a scare last night. The Boeing 747 was forced to make an emergency landing at Detroit Metropolitan Airport because of a bomb threat. At least 11 people were injured evacuating the jet after one of the slide chutes malfunctioned. No bomb, though, was found. Major changes in the Eastern Seaboard's air traffic control system went into effect today. Richard Roth reports that some air traffic controllers say they are not ready for a 4-lane highway in the sky.
It was takeoff day for the government's new air traffic routing system on the East Coast. The objective, cut down on delays.
We created additional interstate routes, if you would, between cities. We've allowed express lanes. We have some slow-moving lanes. We've made parallel roadways in the sky, if you would.
It took 5 years for the government to create this new air traffic system in the East. Under the new system, planes leaving from New York, a highly congested zone, will now be able to fly over 4 different radio frequency centers instead of just one checkpoint. The new air traffic plan is designed to improve the situation for planes leaving LaGuardia. However, the new plan has drawn criticism from air traffic controllers. Michael Sheedy is an air traffic controller who thinks his tracking center is not ready to handle the new routing system.
We feel we really don't have enough people at this point to be carrying this off the way it should be carried off.
6 congressmen sent the FAA a letter requesting a delay in implementing the anti-delay plan.
On-the-job training for air traffic controllers is about as dangerous and as stupid thing as I can imagine. It's not like teaching somebody how to make pizza.
The FAA says proper training has been given to all controllers and that the new plan is safe.
We never let the overriding concern of a delay overshadow the necessity to maintain a safe system.
The FAA says there were minor problems working out the first-day kinks, and of course the snow that fell in New York did cause some delays. Aviation officials say the new routes do not mean an end to sitting on a runway, but some flight delays will be eliminated by the streamlined air lanes. Richard Roth, CNN, New York.
The Boy Scouts of America launched a campaign against drugs and alcohol today. More than 5 million scouts and their supporters are being urged to get involved in the campaign, which is called Drugs, a Deadly Game. The organization is distributing information to young people nationwide. Marissa Carbone reports on one of the doctors who advised the scouts in their program.
Oh, no. This doctor was once a patient.
I would wake up in the mornings with my cocked pistol on my pillow and realize in blackouts from alcohol and or drugs that I was trying to plan to kill myself.
Dr. Brown was able to stop drinking and using drugs as part of a program for impaired health professionals at the Ridgeview Institute in Atlanta. He now counsels physicians who abuse alcohol. Douglas Talbot directs that program. He believes alcoholics are born, not made.
The abuser can stop. The alcoholic can't stop. The reason the alcoholic can't stop is because of an altered chemistry of the brain. And it doesn't have anything to do with willpower, and it doesn't have anything to do with volume, dose, or duration. And America doesn't understand that.
Himself a recovering alcoholic, Dr. Talbot is a leader in an emerging medical field called addictionology, a field so new, medical schools are just beginning to teach it. In conjunction with the Boy Scouts, Talbot and others have produced a video urging children to just say no to drugs and alcohol.
What drug causes the most problems?
Alcohol is a drug, and you got to remember that. It's just like heroin and other drugs if it's misused.
And the Boy Scouts are an excellent vehicle for drug-free living. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about learning to say no and learning to live chemical-free.
Dr. Talbot says America isn't walking, but galloping into a chemical culture. He says the situation may become an epidemic in the next decade if something isn't done to stop it. Marissa Carbone, CNN, Atlanta.
A Catholic newspaper reports the FBI is keeping tabs on 2 prominent American bishops. The National Catholic Reporter says the Bureau has files on both Seattle Archbishop Raymond Hunthausen and Detroit Auxiliary Bishop Thomas Gumbleton. Hunthausen was forced to hand over his authority last summer because of his ministry to homosexuals. Pope John Paul II is planning to visit California, and the local Catholic dioceses are looking to reap the financial benefits. Craig Heap reports that is not sitting well with TV executives.
The Pope's visit to Northern California is expected to be one of the year's biggest news stories here. On September 17th, he's scheduled to spend 7 hours in Monterey. This week, the Diocese of Monterey invited TV stations to bid for exclusive rights to broadcast the visit live. It's estimated that the cost to each diocese where the Pope visits will be about $2 million a day. Spokesman Ted Ellisi says this is one way to get some of that money back.
And so all we're asking is for news people to consider the cost, the free services that they're given that day, and just ask them to pay their own. That's all.
The letter has made some television executives angry. They accuse the diocese of trying to sell the news.
The visit of the Pope to the Monterey Peninsula is a legitimate news story. We want to cover it as a news story. We don't pay for news.
And I find it personally and professionally repugnant that they would try to make money off of or recoup money off of the news media when we're attempting to get the information to the public for free.
The Pope will hold a special mass at a nearby auto racetrack, and the Monterey Diocese is asking its parishes to pay $15 a person for tickets. When the Pope leaves here, he'll travel 100 miles north to San Francisco. Officials in the diocese there say they have no plans to charge either the public or the media for his visit. Ellisi says larger dioceses can afford to do that. Monterey cannot.
Monterey Diocese is a poor diocese. It's a missionary diocese.
NBC's Art Lord says that's no excuse.
Church organizations within countries ranging all the way from Korea to El Salvador have never charged the media a dime for the privilege of witnessing a papal visit.
The diocese says some stations have expressed an interest in live coverage, but so far none of them has bid on it. Craig Heap, CNN, Monterey, California.
The news continues.
Right now, Time magazine has good news for everyone who's ever wanted to make an important phone call, but couldn't find the number. Because if you order Time now, you'll get a free gift with your paid subscription. Time's exclusive phone file. It's a combination telephone and flip file directory to keep your phone numbers where they belong, with a phone. So instead of having to reach for a number...
Write it down. Oh, here it is.
You just reach for the phone and the number's right there. With Time's gift, you can have all your numbers in one place. And with Time magazine each week, you can have the whole world in one place. Fascinating, exciting, entertaining, and informative. Time reaches to the heart of events and brings them home to you with a superb writing and photography that makes the experience of Time unique. And now it can be yours for almost half off the cover price. And with a thank you gift, that means you'll never have to look high and low for a phone number. Instead, it'll always be at your fingertips. Time even makes it easier for you to call with push-button dialing. It has call muting for privacy and automatic redial. There's a handy pen and pencil holder, an area code directory, even a built-in clock. It's a Time magazine exclusive, and it's yours free when you subscribe for 30 weeks of Time at nearly half off the cover price. Payable in 3 easy installments of just $9.79 each. And all you have to do is call our toll-free number.
What's the number?
1-800-525-7300.
Got it.
And with your paid subscription, you'll get Time's unique phone file free. So call now.
What was the number again? It was
That's 1-800-525-7300. It's the most practical telephone ever invented. And it's part of Time's best offer ever. So don't miss it. You'll never lose a phone number again.
49 minutes after the hour, time for Headline Sports.
Mark McKay, Headline Sports. The Big Ten continues to provide the big games among the nation's top 10. Thursday, number 5 Purdue upended 4th-ranked Iowa on the Hawkeyes' home court, 80-73. Boilermaker guard Everett Stevens was on target beyond the three-point line, canning 5 of 5 three-pointers and finishing with 23 points. 9th-ranked Illinois broke open a close game in the second half to beat Big Ten foe Minnesota 79-67. Ken Norman's 26 paced the Illini to their 5th win in a row. For the 5th straight year, top-ranked Nevada Las Vegas clinched the Pacific Coast Athletic Association crown. They did it with a hard-fought 74-64 win over Cal State Fullerton. Other games, Texas Christian did away with SMU, and Oregon State just got by Oregon. Former Seattle star Jack Sikma handed his old team its 4th straight loss. The Bucs center tipped in this missed shot at the buzzer, giving Milwaukee a 106-104 win over Seattle. Houston's Bill Fitch is only the 5th coach in NBA history to post 700 regular season wins. Thursday, he got number 700 with ease, his team beating New Jersey 121-99. Hakeem Olajuwon led the Rockets with 37 points. Detroit down Cleveland Thursday 113-109. Adrian Dantley had 25, including a pair of crucial free throws with under a minute to play. The Bullets beat the Nuggets, Boston blew out Golden State, and the Kings held off the Mavs. Atlanta will be without Free Rollins for up to 3 weeks. The Hawks center is recovering from a fracture on his right foot. In tennis, 11th seed Johan Creek upset 5th seed John McEnroe Thursday to advance at the U.S. Indoor Tennis Championships. Creek won in straight sets. Mark McKay, Headline Sports.
I'm Lynn Russell, and here's your news. Celebrities treated some disadvantaged kids in New York to a pre-Valentine's Day party entitled Have a Heart. Actor Matthew Broderick gave his reasons why he believes the children need a little TLC.
Not warm enough and not enough food, and no future, crime. It's a real bad thing.
In Britain, Fergie earned her wings today, and she took her husband, Prince Andrew, along for the license-winning flight. The Duchess, dubbed Chatterbox 1 by air traffic controllers, was awarded the license by Britain's Chairman of Aviation.
What it represents is skill, daring, determination, and perhaps above all, effort.
Lynn Russell, Headline News.
In the headlines, lawmakers want an investigation into reports that former CIA Director Casey may have lied about the arms sales to Iran. The White House has no comment on the reports. President Reagan is calling for a national insurance plan to help the elderly pay for catastrophic illness. And 3 Wall Street executives were charged with using illegal inside information to make millions of dollars in stock deals. With the headlines, I'm Brad Johnson.
Stay tuned. The news continues.
If you've neglected to prepare a will, consider this. Without a will, the court, not you, decides who receives your property and in what amounts, who manages the affairs of your estate, who becomes the guardian of your minor children. Also, your loved ones could face high costs and needless delays, regardless of the size of your estate. Failing to make a will means taking unnecessary chances. The Plan Safe Will Kit is now available so you can have a will without the costly expense. Prepared by lawyers, it is absolutely valid in all 50 states. You will receive simple fill-in-the-blank will forms with easy-to-follow directions. Our guidebook will give you a full understanding of this most important document. Order now and we'll send you this handsome organizer as a free gift. The Plan Safe Will Kit is yours for only $9.95. Money back if not delighted. Order now.
Credit card users call toll-free 1-800-533-1400. That's 1-800-533-1400. Or send check or money order for just $9.95 plus $1 shipping to Wilkit, Box 8207, Atlanta, Georgia 30306.
General Motors is losing a lot of dollars and cents, but it's not in the showroom. Robert Vito reports GM has settled out of court with hundreds of car owners.
It's being called the largest consumer class action settlement of its kind in history. The agreement requires General Motors put nearly $20 million in a fund to repay customers for repairs of defective transmissions in 1976 through 1980 model year cars. The settlement covers original owners only and provides partial reimbursement to those whose transmission failed within 50,000 miles.
To the little guy out there on the street who had to pay $500 or $600 and he'll maybe get back $400 or $500, that's a lot of money.
GM was accused of using transmissions during that period that were too small, often failed, and required expensive overhauling. Nearly 5 million Chevrolets, Pontiacs, Oldsmobiles, Buicks, and Cadillac Sevilles were equipped with the transmission. Jacqueline Latinen, who still owns her 1979 Chevrolet, says she paid out $814 in transmission repairs for the car.
The idea that we won, I think that's more important than the money.
Automotive expert Dave Smith had this reaction to the settlement.
A small victory, I think, for consumers. It took them a long time to pull it off. And it tells the big guy, hey, you know, you can't get away with these kinds of things forever. And even though you're gonna hold us off for as long as you can, we're eventually going to get you.
In Detroit, GM denied any liability in the case. GM says it agreed to settle out of court to avoid drawn-out and expensive litigation. Robert Vito, CNN, Detroit.
Tomorrow's weather, rain is likely from the northern and central Pacific coast into parts of the plateau region. Rain and snow showers are expected in the northern Rockies. Scattered showers are on tap for parts of central and southern Texas. Wheel of Fortune's riding the rails up the East Coast. The stars of the most popular TV game show began a two-day whistle stop today. John Zarella reports.
Hundreds of people packed rows deep came to get a glimpse of their favorite game show stars, Vanna White and Pat Sajak.
Good to see you.
The Wheel of Fortune stars left Miami Thursday morning on a two-day whistle-stop train ride that will wind its way through the South and Middle Atlantic states, ending up in Washington, D.C.
This is a chance to meet some people and have people meet us who don't ordinarily get a chance to do it. We're going to a lot of small places that don't usually have, you know, TV celebs coming through.
Pat and Vanna say they're excited by this novel approach to winning new fans, but how will they feel after 2 long days on a train?
Probably exhausted after 33 cities.
What's likely to exhaust Vanna even more than the ride itself is all the reporters' questions about her upcoming Playboy magazine appearance.
I did not pose for those shots in Playboy, and I did those shots many years ago, way before Wheel of Fortune, when I couldn't eat and pay the rent. And a photographer sold them to Playboy, and they're being published.
As they say, in every life, a little rain must fall. But there is no rain falling on Wheel of Fortune. The stars say they never imagined how successful they'd become.
It caught us all by surprise. We had hopes of being successful, but we did not expect to become, you know, part of the cultural landscape.
And that they certainly have become.
I wouldn't miss Wheel of Fortune for nothing. If I'm worried, I have something on my mind, very depressed. When that show come on, I watch Wheel of Fortune, and that is gone, whatever was bothering me.
Presidential candidates have been known to use whistle stops to increase their popularity, so why not game shows? Ratings are at least as important on television as they are in politics. John Zarella, CNN, in Hollywood, Florida.
That's our report. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Goodnow. Around the world in 30 minutes, this is Headline News.
Headline News Network. Get the headline habit.
broadcasting system. This is the Headline News Network.
Look fast, because the hands on this watch are about to disappear. Now, look again. And they're back. Why do these hands disappear? Because they're not really hands at all. They're actually electronic pulses of light. Introducing the amazing laser beam wristwatch. Destined to become a legend in its own time, we believe it will soon be one of the most sought-after watches in history. However, as part of a special publicity campaign, we will send you one of these amazing new laser beam luxury watches. Not for the hundreds of dollars you might expect, but for only $10. But to get your amazing laser beam wristwatch for only $10, you must act now. If you call within the next 30 minutes, you can order a second laser beam watch for only $5, just half price.
To order, call 1-800-257-1333. That's 1-800-257-1333.
Headline News, I'm Lynn Vaughn. Behind closed doors at the White House, the administration may have been cooking up fundraising deals for the Nicaraguan Contras. ABC News reports President Reagan and his chief of staff held meetings with private citizens who donated money to buy weapons for the rebels. Slightly more than $2 million from those donors was funneled to a project codenamed TOY. It was run by a conservative lobbyist with help from former White House aide Oliver North. $1 million contributions for weapons purchases also went into a State Department-connected public relations firm, IBC. All of this occurred at a time when Congress had forbidden aid to the Contras. And Capitol Hill is still not of one mind on the Contra issue. Anthony Collins reports some lawmakers are at odds over continuing support for the rebels.
In Honduras, 300 U.S. paratroopers take part in a military exercise 75 miles from the border with Nicaragua. The stated purpose? To demonstrate readiness to counter Nicaraguan threats. Secretary of State Schultz cites these threats as justifying support for Contra rebels, and he gives another reason.
By supporting those Nicaraguans now who are fighting for their liberty, we may avoid direct military involvement by the United States in the future.
There are serious questions, however, how much continued support the Contras will get. Admiral William Crow, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, says the U.S. will withdraw its commitment to the rebels unless they unite and change their tactics. But the Contras remain divided. Arturo Cruz, one of the three top Contra leaders and a moderate considered influential in Washington, says he's ready to quit.
What troubles me the most is that I am not totally convinced that the Directorate is in full command, as I said, to implement a truly democratic project. I mean, I want to see in Nicaragua a real liberation taking place for the good of all Nicaraguans.
To try to heal the split, Assistant Secretary of State Elliott Abrams met separately with Cruz and Contra military leader Adolfo Calero. Sources say Abrams proposed power sharing that would dilute Calero's influence by broadening the Contra's political base, as Cruz is demanding.
All of these problems, plus the Iran-Contras affair, apparently have weakened the administration's ability to win congressional support for more money to the Contras. The administration is postponing, for now, its request for $105 million in new aid, hoping that the political climate will improve later. Anthony Collins, CNN, Washington.
Israel has hit Palestinian targets in southern Lebanon for a second straight day. Most air raids are during the day, but this one was launched at night. There are no reports of casualties. As the war goes on, a British surgeon at a Palestinian camp is appealing for help. He says starving residents are running out of dogs and cats to eat. President Reagan has a plan he says will help the elderly fight the high cost of old age. Yesterday, he told Congress he wants to expand Medicare coverage to include catastrophic illness. Under the plan, the government would cover hospital bills after the patient pays $2,000. But the plan is drawing criticism in Congress for not offering more.
The cost of nursing home care is so great that most of the people who get into nursing homes get wiped out economically once they're there, even if they've saved some money.
And the health plan is also drawing mixed reviews from Medicare recipients. Jonathan Towers talked with 2 of the millions of Americans who would be affected by it.
That's all right.
Many elderly Americans say they're relieved the government is finally getting serious about trying to solve the problem of catastrophic health care.
Anybody could go completely bankrupt over a catastrophic illness, you know, that they were not expecting.
Leona Burns wasn't expecting to have her left knee removed and an artificial one put in as a result of arthritis.
I never expected in my lifetime to have to go through a thing like this.
With the help of Medicare, she hopes to be able to afford her long-term recovery, but she's concerned about what would happen if she had to stay in the hospital for a long time.
If it was an extended stay that they wouldn't allow, then that would be me, you know, paying that deal.
And you're worried about that?
I'm worried about that, yeah.
But some, like Manny Pierce, say the plan doesn't go far enough. He's a retired salesman whose wife, Pauline, has had Alzheimer's disease for 5 years.
This new plan is projected will not take care of people who are in nursing homes to stay.
Which is where Pauline Pierce is expected to be for the rest of her life, an expense of about $2,000 a month that would not be covered under the president's plan.
Costs in nursing homes today are constantly increasing, and it's going to become increasingly difficult to continue to pay the bills.
To finance the plan, Medicare monthly premiums would be increased about $5. In general, elderly patients seem to be saying that paying about $5 a month isn't too much for a government guarantee that a catastrophic illness won't wipe out their life savings. Jonathan Towers, CNN, Dallas.
Scientists have identified a new virus in cats that gives the animals a disease much like AIDS. Researchers at the University of California say the cat virus is related to, but genetically different from the human AIDS virus. There's no indication the cat virus can infect people. Researchers don't know how much danger it poses to the cat population. The number of AIDS cases in Britain has prompted the government to consider a drastic move. It may use emergency powers to order all scientists to make finding a cure a priority. Mike Chenoy reports.
Every day now, 2 people in Britain die of AIDS. In January, the country recorded the biggest single monthly increase in the number of AIDS cases so far. It's not as bad as in the U.S. yet, but the government here is sufficiently alarmed that it's following up a nationwide advertising drive with an even more drastic step. Health Secretary Norman Fowler is said to be considering the use of emergency powers last invoked during World War II to direct British scientists to devote all their energy to fighting AIDS. The idea of a nationally coordinated research program was welcomed by many who deal with AIDS here.
Not only do we need direction in terms of identifying the important areas that should be researched, but we need, I think, direction in terms of people, someone or a group of people pulling together scientists with different disciplines, with different skills, and making them all work together.
The focus of this new drive will be on seeking a vaccine or cure for AIDS. With sufficient funding, British scientists believe they could make a significant contribution, although there's still a gap between the amount of money the government seems willing to spend and what the experts say they need. There's another area of disagreement, too. Many in the medical profession are uneasy over a government suggestion to screen all pregnant women for the virus.
I think in this country, at this point in time, there's absolutely no indication for universal screening of all pregnant women. The only indication for screening a pregnant woman is if she is in a high-risk group.
Whatever the shortcomings, experts agree the authorities here are doing as much, if not more, than most other governments to combat the spread of AIDS. Whether that will be enough, however, remains an open question. Mike Chenoy, CNN, London.
We'll be right back.
I'm a veteran, and I belong.
My husband's a veteran, and we both belong.
I'm a veteran, and I belong.
I'm a veteran, and I belong.
I'm a veteran, and I belong too. And so can you. If you're in the service, and you're between 50 and 74, you belong to an exclusive group of veterans who are eligible to carry this card. Just call this toll-free number to take advantage of a life insurance plan that automatically accepts you. If you're a veteran, or the spouse or widow of a vet,
There's no way you can be turned down. No. That means there's no medical exam. Not even one question about your health or your medical history. Now, that's a pretty good guarantee for vets between 50 and 74. Oh, and listen to this. Because you're a vet, you pay the special veterans rate of only $5 a month. That's all. Just $5 a month. Now, that's less than 17 cents a day. So why not call and get this free information that gives you all the facts about guaranteed life insurance for only $5 a month. You'll also receive information on the Veterans Pharmacy Exchange, a shop-at-home service that can save you money. So if you're a veteran, join other veterans nationwide from Maine to California and get in on a really good deal, like I did. Call right now.
If you were in the service and you're between the ages of 50 and 74, call 1-800-228-3399. That's 1-800-228-3399. The information package that Mr. Ford spoke of will be mailed to you immediately. There's absolutely no cost and there's no obligation. Join other veterans nationwide. Call 1-800-228-3399. That number again is 1-800-228-3399. Call now.
Three Wall Street executives are facing insider trading charges. Federal prosecutors say the trio illegally swapped private information to make millions of dollars for Kidder, Peabody and Company. Tom Cassidy reports.
The government came down hard and fast on the three defendants, charging that they'd broken insider trading laws. Over an 18